What's up, y'all? Sparty here. Apologies if you hear my dog in the background. Well, I slurred that. Apologies if you hear my dog in the background. She just ate, so obviously she's gonna be making sounds, and she's literally right behind me. But nonetheless, I want to do a video on the LG Tone-free FN7 versus the LG Tone-free FP8/9. These are the FP9, but since they're very similar, I'm just deciding to compound them in terms of, say, what they offer and all that stuff. So let's get into this. The FN7 were one of the earbuds that I liked very much in 2020. I didn't mess with many earbuds in 2020. I'm trying to think of any that I actually did. Aside from AirPods Pro, I didn't mess with anything like the any sort of sound cores aside from maybe the Live.2s and all that stuff. I didn't really mess with any. So this was pretty much my first foray into getting into these sort of reviews. And yeah, let's get into this right now. The FN7s, I really do like a lot. I'm not trying to sit here and say that these are going to be terrible compared to these. In fact, they have a lot of similarities, and they set out to do the same thing sound wise. That I don't necessarily think if you go with one, you're necessarily going to be missing out on anything. Both of these sound great, in my personal opinion. Both of these have a very spacious sound. Vocals are forward; they're not behind any sort of the instrumentals or anything like that. So they're very clear. They're forward. They do quite a bit. They do quite a bit of good when it comes to that, as well as being able to make sure the bass is also impactful and not just overly bassy, like where I'm kind of seeing the Liberty 3 Pros, for example, doing a little bit. But I'll get into that when I compare the FP9s to the Liberty 3 Pros solely on sound quality. So I guess we'll just get into how the cases look here. The cases look very similar, and I like that a lot. You have more of a gold tone logo right here, whereas you have a more gray tone logo on the FP9. The back, pretty much everything is similar. This is a more black, whereas this is gray. Really no issue with that. And I think due to the fact that these also come in a gold color, I don't know if they come in a white, I forgot, but they definitely do come in a gold in certain areas. These will look quite nice. Give me 1 second. Sorry, the microwave decided it wanted to make noise, so I had to check it real quick. But where was I at? Oh yeah, these come in. I believe they come in gold, and they also, I believe, come in white. But I decided to just go with the black variant, or the I think they call it charcoal variant, and I just like that color more. I like them. I just like my earbuds to look a little bit more stealthy, and that's what these look like. Both of these, honestly, in terms of design, are very nice. From the offset already, what you can see is that the FP9s are definitely smaller in terms of the stem, and these go into your ear far deeper into your ear, whereas they stick out pretty far. Both of them still have the haptic like button that you press right here to do your sound controls. They both control everything, really no problem there. Both of them work well, especially compared to something like the FN4, where you really had to sit here and figure out where the touch controls really were. Apologies, someone was at the door. Obviously, the dog started barking. So, where was I at? In terms of design, these definitely stick out of your ear more. These go into your ear more, and they fit my ear perfectly, honestly. Really have no issue with that. The stem is, like, drastically shorter, as you guys can see here. Like, if anyone has a problem with how long this stem is, I really don't know what to tell you, but the stem on these are very, very short, and they're compact, and they honestly feel nice. I really have no issue with how they feel in my ear. What one has that another doesn't. These have true wireless. This has wireless charging, whereas this doesn't. The FP8 does. The FP9 doesn't because it has the plug-in wireless feature. This also has UVnano, whereas this doesn't. This also has, neat little features like the mood lighting kind of thing that phones like the Liberty 3 Pro definitely do copy. But nonetheless, it's a nice feature nonetheless. It's nothing important, but it's just nice to know that when you pay a lot of money for something, which I don't necessarily think, these are $200 typically. They're like $130 now on Amazon. You're getting something that gives you a sense of like you're paying for a good experience. So I do definitely think LG did a few things here to make sure that you feel like you're getting your money's worth out of them in terms of both look, design, and overall like feature set. The UVnano, what it does is when you plug in the case to a charger, it will. And on the FP8, for example, you could either wirelessly charge it or just put it on a cord, and for 5 minutes, it'll clean the speaker mesh of the earbud, and it'll eliminate 99.9% of bacteria off of the ear, off of the ears, off the speaker mesh. That's really nice. I've looked and seen where I've had some clear like gunk on the speaker mesh. I left them in the case and let them wirelessly charge. Back when I had my S21 Ultra at work, I would just put them on the back of the S21 Ultra to reverse wireless charge. And on the FP8s, for example, like earwax, like particles of earwax would actually be gone, and it was actually pretty cool. Very nice feature. I really do like that a lot. Is actually quite underrated, and more companies do need to have that. Another thing is the plug-in wireless feature, which is very similar to what a company like Bowers and Wilkins does, I think is the company, but those are $400 headphones, so it's very nice to get this kind of feature for half the price. It's very nice. Let's talk about active noise cancellation. Both of these have active noise cancellation. Both of them have a high and low version of ANC. Both of them have an ambient mode. This has two different versions of an ambient mode. It has your listening mode and your conversation mode, where it'll tune the transparency or ambient mode to same difference, but it'll tune the ambient mode to either be better for listening to stuff around you, say if you're walking across the street or something like that, or if you're want to listen to somebody and you put it in the conversation mode, it'll tune the ambient mode to be more just work better for that. And honestly, I think both work very well. Both do it a little bit differently due to the fact that this has two different modes. I feel like it's doing more of a sound enhancement kind of deal, whereas these do a more pass-through kind of deal. Both of these sound clear. The voice sounds a little bit more digitized. My voice sounds a little bit more digitized on here, but it's not really a deal breaker. But both of these have quite good ANC. These definitely do better. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a make or break feature for either of these. You can go with either of these and you get good ANC and you get a good ambient mode. Really no issue there. These have better battery life. These get up to 7 hours of usage. I typically get around like 5 hours, 45 minutes to even sometimes 6.5 hours, depending on how loud I listen. Whereas these, with ANC on, I think I got like 8 hours, 20 minutes. And then when I turn ANC off and have them at 60%, they go to their advertised 10 hours, no problem. So they're really competitive with earbuds like these Sony WF-1000 XM4s in terms of battery life. Still, in terms of other like aspects of the XM4, you're not going to be getting as much battery life, but I think 10 hours is more than ample enough. And you get 24 hours in the case when you're not using ANC, and you get I think it's I think it's 12 hours in the case when you use ANC. Whereas this, I think, is about the same kind of metrics in the case. Both of these have fast charging. So you put the earbud in the case for 5 minutes, you'll get an hour's worth of usage for every 5 minutes that you have them in the case. So say you charge it for 30 minutes, you get 5 hours. So that basically means these will be fully charged, and these will have half the charge that they had when you roughly half the charge that they had when you stopped using them. So that's very nice. Mics, I feel, are definitely an upgrade on the on the FP9 slash FP8. I feel like they do a little bit better job at getting my voice out. Obviously, it's going to depend on your audio source too. A lot of people tend to focus on the fact that, oh, it just doesn't sound great in this particular thing, but when you actually, a lot of the times, a lot of these earbuds do have good mics, but it also, like I said, it ultimately depends on the audio source. Like, say if you're connecting it to a PC and you're using, say, Windows software, they might be tuning the mic to sound a particular way, and that might affect how it sounds. So I wouldn't necessarily just say that when I would use either of these for phone calls, it was totally fine. I was able to hear people fine. People were able to hear me fine. So there's really no issue there whatsoever. They're not the best mics on the market. I'm not going to sit here and say that. They'll still go to basically the AirPods Pro. And funnily enough, the $100 Sony like XM4 Juniors basically, which have surprisingly good mics, especially compared to the XM4, which kind of have okay mics. It's kind of weird. I kind of wish they would just do a refresh on the XM4 and just put those mics in. Stop with this whole, oh, we're doing this adaptive. We're gonna lower the noise reduction of things around you, because all that ever seems to do for me is make it to where every time I talk for a little bit too long, the background noise like literally is behind my voice still. So it's whatever though. We're not talking about the XM4, we're talking about these. The case is definitely slightly more thick on the FP9 too. As you guys see, you get two different lights right here. Battery indicator right here. This is like 80% right now. This lights up when you plug it in, and it's obviously cleaning the speaker mesh UVnano. And 5 minutes it's on, it turns off. It's blue. Or is this just a singular light? Your pairing light and all that stuff. You get a separate pairing button on the case of the FN7, which I do like, whereas on here, you have to press and hold one of the haptic buttons and able to connect them to another phone. These could connect to up to 5 devices at once, whereas these can only connect to one. And that's really convenient for me personally because of the fact that I have these connected to both my Xperia 1 Mark III right here and my laptop. So when I want to use them for something like gaming on my laptop, they work very well, especially when you turn on the gaming mode. This doesn't have a gaming mode, it has a connection priority mode, but I think it works similarly. I really don't know. But overall, I do feel like both of these do a very good job. The app works for both of these. LG's tone-free app works for both of these. You could check for updates, obviously, on there. Switch between your ANC modes. I guess I'll just show you guys. It's literally right here. Literally every feature works for both of these. Oh, this is great. Now it's doing this. Sometimes it'll act weird because I obviously have both of these connected to the phone, but you have 5 different preset options right here. You have your most immersive mode, which I personally feel is the best mode on here. Natural, treble boost, bass boost, and 3D soundstage. 3D soundstage I would only use for movies, but overall it sounds very good for movies. for music, I don't necessarily recommend it. Like I said, you have your high and low settings. It literally looks the same on the it looks exactly the same on the FN7 where it's high and low. You have your off setting and you have your your ambient sound. And I have it in listening mode right now. I can switch over to conversation mode and it works like that. I wouldn't necessarily say there's any drastic difference between the high and low noise cancellation. It just ultimately changes how sensitive the mics get for canceling out noise. So I would personally leave it in low if you have more sensitive ears. There's really no drastic difference in terms of how well the earbuds cancel out noise. So there you go. Software update, tone free lab, where you get your game mode. I just have that set, and you have your whispering mode, which is you take out the right earbud and then you just whisper into it and it'll focus on your voice while you're talking on the phone, and people will pretty much just hear that. I've seen other reviewers say that it works, so I haven't tested it because I haven't really been in an environment where I need to test it. So if I heard other trusted reviewers of mine say that it works, then it works. So yeah, very nice. Then you also have two custom EQs. Both of these will have that, where it has all these. The only thing that the FN7s don't have is a 3D soundstage. You get the same amount of notification settings, customization. You get the same amount of customization when it comes to the touchpad. Very nice indeed. So yeah, and obviously it'll have its own separate look for say when you open the FN7s. Let me close the app because when I don't do that, it likes to act all weird. But both of these connect and disconnect pretty damn fast, so you really have no issue with that. And this is what the FN7s look like. Pretty similar. Pretty similar indeed. Really no issue there. So yeah, all the convenience modes that people like work good on both of these. Really no issue there. Like I said, the ANC is definitely stronger on the FP9/FP8, but I wouldn't necessarily say if you are solely going for that, you can really go wrong with either. Both of them are really good in that regard. They do around the FP9 do around like 85 to 90% of what say the XM4s can do, whereas I feel like the FN7s do around 80. So that's really not that big of a deal. They just do slightly better at canceling out environmental noise, low rumbles, say from a bus engine or car and stuff like that. The FP9s definitely do a better job at that, but I really don't think you could go wrong with either, especially if you're listening to music. You won't really be able to hear anything on every earbud when you're listening to something like just podcasts or something. You're definitely gonna hear some things going on around you, like even on the XM4s. That's the thing. So yeah, I would totally advise you of that. When I would take the bus, these don't shake in my ear at all, whereas these would shake in my ear a bit due to the fact that they do jet out of my ear a little bit. Same, very similar to what like the XM4s pretty much do, similar to what the Liberty 3 Pro would do. I know they would do that because of how far they jet out. So yeah, the FP9 are definitely the more comfortable earbud overall. I wouldn't necessarily say the FN7 are uncomfortable, but they're definitely not like world-class leading or anything like that, especially with the ear gels that they put on here, which are medical grade. You don't really feel like you have ear gels in your ear at all. Like, it's kind of weird. But yeah, let's get into the sound, because this is something that's very interesting. And I guess I'll just show you guys the music that I did use for this. It is mainly... I'll look at that in a minute. I listen to hip-hop rap mostly. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you dynamic range and all that bullshit. But it's... the type of rap I listen to isn't your basic kind of like what you hear on the radio type shit. It They tend to have more intricate sounds put into them, a little bit more care in the production put into it. And, as you guys can obviously see, a lot of J. Cole here, Big Sean, Swang by Trey the Truth, Bad by Wale, Respect, Smooth by Dog Pound, and For the Love of Money by Dr. Dre. So these aren't necessarily tracks that are just like what you hear on the radio, right? Where the production is not complicated. People need to stop thinking that this is like the 80s and 90s rap where production wasn't complicated. Production has gotten far more complicated and intricate for things like hip hop and rap over the years. It isn't just the same as the boom boom bap and shit like that you've heard over the 50 years that hip hop has been around already. like come on now. But yeah, anyway, for both of these, I use J. Cole mainly because his production does a very good job at giving you a lot of more like intricate sounds and like the mix as well. Land of the Snakes is a very good thing to test bass because if a headphone is bassy, they'll make the kick drum sound a little too bassy in Land of the Snakes, where, like, for example, the Liberty 3 Pro do that, and I'll talk about that when I get to that video. But yeah, very nice on here. Trouble, another one that is very heavy bass, where I feel like both of these do a very good job is that they don't lose the vocals in the mix at all. Both of these are very spacious headphones. Both of these are pretty open. Like, due to the meridian tuning on both of these, you can't really go wrong with either if you want that. You get a very spacious sound if you stay in the immersive mode, but it doesn't sacrifice things like bass, and it doesn't sacrifice things like vocals, where, say, again, on the Liberty 3 Pro, I feel vocals could be a tad under the production mix when bass gets involved a little too heavily. So, yeah, that's very nice. She Knows is another one that's very good. Channing Day has a lot of intricate sounds as well. A lot of these, it basically comes down to... it basically comes down to this when it comes to these two. The FP9 are everything the FN7 do, but better. Bass is more impactful. Vocals are more forward and clear. Intricate sounds are put in places and you can hear them very well, and they don't get lost in the mix. They both do a very good job at that. It's just that the FP9 do a better job at that. Would I necessarily say that the FN7 are bad now? Hell no. The FN7, if you have them still, they're still very good headphones, hence why I still have them. They're just they're very good, especially in the immersive mode. These headphones are just like, both pairs are just really good. It's just that sounds are given more space to breathe on these, I feel, due to the overall larger size of the overall casing of the driver. I feel like that definitely does help. Bass response is definitely more impactful on here and definitely more satisfying on here. But I will say this. Neither of these are headphones that just put bass in for bass sake. So like I said with Land of the Snakes, where I feel like the kick drum on the Liberty 3 Pro sounds a little bit too much like they're putting bass into it. Neither of these do that. It sounds like an actual kick drum. It's like both of these are earbuds that I feel do a very good job at giving you a reproduction of what the artist intended. Whereas, say, a Liberty 3 Pro wants to, while also being fun and satisfying to listen to, while the Liberty 3 Pro in particular, and I'm going back to that because it's the talk of the town right now, right? If it was the XM4 that were the talk of the town, I'd be talking about those. I'm not sitting here just shitting on the Liberty 3 Pro just to do it. But in terms of both of these, They just do a far better job at that. I definitely saw that even more when I went down to tracks like when I went down to tracks like it ain't in here. Why isn't Let Nas Down in here? But Let Nas Down by J. Cole as well. That was another one where I was like, the Liberty 3 Pro just puts too much bass where there isn't bass into the song. And it honestly made the song unsatisfying. Um, and like I said, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, both of these are very good. If you're looking for just an improvement to the FN7s, in pretty much every way, I do necessarily think that the FP8s slash FP9s, even the FP5, like those also have noise cancellation. They just won't. I just think they don't have wireless charging and they don't have plug-in wireless. I think that's literally the deal. If you don't care about those, you could literally go with the cheaper FP5 and you'll get the exact same sound. You'll get the exact same quality of noise cancellation and ambient mode, so you'll definitely be fine with those as well. But if you want the LG's top of the line, FP9s are they're definitely an improvement over the FN7s, and I like both of these earbuds a lot, and they're both really good in my personal opinion. It's actually kind of criminal that these don't get as much play as they do. That's all I really got to say for this video, though. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday or whatever time of day it is in your area. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it, even though it really doesn't matter anymore. Share with people that are interested in this sort of content, and have a good one.